What's going on, guys? Tim here with Morphed Out Reptiles, bringing you another video. Today's topic is going to be a little bit different. This is probably going to be a two-part video. We're going to go through some of the issues and mistakes that we've made. And then in the second part, we'll probably start getting into the revamped stages of where we're at and where we're going moving forward. If you are new to the channel, we want to say thank you for stopping by and giving it a watch. If you're not already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, stay up to date with anything new coming out. And the season is about to start, so you're definitely not going to want to miss. If you want to be reminded, hit the notification bell, and let's get into it. Alright, welcome back. You already know, we have a company shirt on. First thing we're going to do is shout out to the Reptilution company and t-shirt made by Reptichip. Shout out to JT and the Reptichip team. Those guys are great. So yeah, what the topic, I wanted to kind of do something outside of the box. Not a lot of people, so when you're watching your favorite breeder or YouTube videos and stuff like that, you guys see the ups. And what I mean by that is you're seeing finished product or finished edited videos, unless stated otherwise by the breeder. You're seeing, animal videos showing off the best of the best. You're seeing the progress that side. Not a lot of people talk or dive too much into the downside and the mistakes that can easily be made through the process. Not everybody makes them. That's also a plus if you start off and you're on top of everything. But again, with what we do and the hobby and what we're doing with the animals and everything like that, we're all learning. And I feel that most breeders, either whether they're well-known successful guys or not, they're always paying attention to certain information because, again, learning is key, and we can always learn maybe something different that a new person coming in notices, and we don't notice it because we've been doing this. I mean, I've been breeding for 10 plus years, so maybe I don't catch on to it, but I listen, and again, it's just more knowledge, and it's always better. So some of the things that we had messed up in the beginning is getting what I call my first big break when it came to the ball python breeding, which was the Orange Dream Pied project. I was very young in the actual full breeding game at that point. We got lucky, had something prove out, possible head, got really, really good odds on the visuals. Back when an Orange Dream Pied, I think Ozzy might have just made the super at that time. So you're talking right at the, I don't want to say at the highest point, but it was still a very, very sought out project. Not a lot of people were producing them, and it was great. The downside though is we did make a good handful of visuals. We held back some females because that was crucial for our projects, which was smart. The worst part is I sold the only visual male that I had made. It was just a basic mistake. When you're new and everybody comes into the ball pythons and it's like, man, I want to get rich. I want to be like Ozzy. I want to be like these Justins, having good inventory, making really, really good sales and stuff like that. That takes time. You have to build up a reputation, you have to build up a brand, you have to be known, and it all comes with time. But in the beginning, if you get, good odds or lucky, as in my side, because it was a head-to-head breeding, you get lucky And you know, when you have that animal and you're like, okay, I just made this, and then somebody offers you, hey man, that's, you know, $2,000 to $3,000. Don't do what we did. Again, I kept some females, but I sold the only male. And in my mind at that time, not having the information or the knowledge that I have now after 10 years of being in this game, my first thought was, I just made these, I'll repeat the pairing, yeah, I'll sell that male and I'll make another one. Well, long story short, on that side of that project, we did not make another visual male for 4 years. Made plenty of females, but no visual male. And my greater mistake that kind of goes in hand, when we sold that visual, I never upgraded my het male. Now that is a big red flag, and we have definitely changed our methods and thinking process and paying attention to the projects now, after being 10 years in. This is probably year 2 that this started to happen. You're into year 2 to 3. But again, it was an easy, you know, it could happen without paying attention to it. You know, we're so excited that we made this awesome new, like not new, but it was still a very top project. So we were in on it. We ended up hatching out, I think the first year we hatched out 5 visuals, kept 2 females, sold 3, 2 females and the male. And then the next couple years after that, we made 1 or 2 females here, 1 or 2 females out of this clutch. And it solely relied on what we were breeding, but at the same time, it came down to we should have kept that male. So being your best customer, especially in the beginning, is so crucial. And honestly, we wish that we could go back to that time and I would do a ton over again. But all we can do is learn, rebuild. As long as we acknowledge the mistake and we do our best to work to change that moving forward, we can recoup from it. With that project being said, we're pretty good with the pied stuff. That's probably our strongest project as far as a recessive gene and having visuals most, pretty much. I think we only have like 1 or 2 heads. But just something like that is very, if you don't pay attention to it, it can hurt, especially if you try to, you know, like we did. We were breeding and then we kind of looked at it and was like, okay, maybe, you know, we're producing stuff, making some decent money off of this. We might want to think about starting to look into licensing and making it a business. When you do that, that is crucial. You know, things like that, thought processes, and going through those little transactions. You know, if it needs to be kept, you need to keep it. You know, that animal ended up, that one male, he was sold. He ended up making it through 4 or 5 breeders. Did very well for those breeders. Way more than what he made from me on a single sale. And I'm really good friends, so we've made a lot of friends and people we consider, you know, close, like family in our inner circle. And he went to a couple of those guys, and talking with those guys, you know, if you have people in your corner that want you to win, they will also help you acknowledge the mistakes and let you see this is what happened and this is how you could have avoided it. And that male alone, you know, probably made the other breeders that he went to anywhere upwards of $20,000 to $25,000 easily. Because again, it was very, you know, the project was still not a lot of people had it. It wasn't flooded or anything like that. Cool stuff still needed to be made, and those guys did it. Here I am. I sold an animal, you know, the male for, you know, a couple grand and kept moving. But he could have made me solely that, you know, 10 to 15,000 over the next couple years, especially with the females that we had already had, instead of quick sale here and then the next couple years for our season. It wasn't the best. So that was definitely a big hiccup that I ran into that kind of hurt. And we were producing a lot of Orange Dream stuff with bad odds. We were flooded with the same stuff, and that project didn't go away, but you know, it wasn't a single gene het Orange Dream or Orange Dream het pied male or female, whether it was a breeder. It starts going down when all these new combos start being made with the gene, and it makes it harder to get rid of the inventory. So we, from that original sale, we hurt ourselves on that end as well. And this is probably into the next 2 to 3 years after that sale. So it happens longer than just I'll recoup from it next year. It's not always the case. Another mistake that is very crucial, and I think it's a lot of people focus on this now. I see it a lot more now, which is great. I didn't, because I guess, as Will over at Flawless says, when I started in the breeding and really forming the collection, it's now considered, I guess, the old days. So people did the things a lot differently. But we started with shows. We've done shows for 8.5, 9 years. And this is actually the first year, 2025, where we have canceled all of our shows. Not only for the inventory, you guys are customers, you guys have pretty much bought everything from 2024, so that's a blessing. But it's also to the point where shows we're kind of in the rebuild stage. We've eliminated a lot of stuff over the last couple years, trying to focus and get the whole company and collection into a better place. So that takes time. It also takes, animals, we're very, very stern on the holdback stuff. So this year is going to be one of our best years. But taking off shows, it eliminates all the overhead. And I had a few years to where I would only list certain animals, and the other or the better animals, I'd be like, oh, I have a show in 6 months, so I need to have stuff for the show because I have to pay for the tables, I have to fill the tables and everything like that. And that is another wrong move to make, because we started dealing with it at certain shows, certain times, over the last 10 years now. Some shows are good, some shows aren't. Some times of the year are good, some times of the year aren't as good. As well as the projects. Sorry about that. As well as the projects. We were stuck with Orange Dream, but not taking it further. I was doing a couple genes here and there. We were actually working on a few projects that I personally wanted to do, but it didn't turn out the way that I was hoping. So we're making certain things, but we're only adding certain genes into the project. And by that time, when we're doing shows, we still have the same stuff on the table, and it's sitting there. We're keeping inventory, which means us not having the rodent building yet. We're paying for feeders every week, and it can cause a lot of issues, so to speak, when moving forward. So that's definitely a wrong way to do it, with trying to make sure that you keep inventory, or if you're producing limited inventory, committing to too many shows. It's a downside, especially when the shows aren't doing good. We always have a lot of shows that are new. We have our shows that have been around for years, but there's always new shows coming up, so there's a lot of local activity, traveling the shows. You have so many people getting into this hobby, more so now, and every year we're seeing tons and tons of new people joining the hobby, the community, buying animals, people starting to breed, all types of stuff. And it's great. It's truly great to see, but at the same time, you always got to keep evolving, because not everybody's looking for the same thing. Every project, we have projects right now with some of our friends. There's stuff that I'm like really pursuing to breed, and there's other guys that are like, yeah, I just don't have an interest in that project. That's fine. That's what makes everything so unique. But I definitely don't like hold inventory just because I got a show, or I got a show next weekend. Look, we post everything. If it's for sale, we post it everywhere that we go. Whatever platform that we're on, that animal is posted. because our goal is to try to not only limit ourselves to, let's say a good show, not a big NARBC Tinley or anything like that, but a decent local show. You might see 2,000 to 3,000 people in the door over a weekend. Well, if you only have an animal there, yeah, that's two to 3,000 people that are going to see that animal. But if you have it online, you could reach 10,000 people in a matter of a day. So it's very, very good idea not to limit yourself. We definitely learned a mistake from that. I don't do that anymore, thankfully. But just something that people might not think about when they're going into starting the shows or starting to get into breeding and producing. You always got to have a backup plan. Always make sure that you have enough space, because I've ran into that issue too, with not having enough space for how many eggs that we expect to have, and how long those animals end up staying. Sometimes, obviously the goal is not this, but sometimes you have animals that just don't move and they grow up, they're out of the, a V18 baby tub and into an adult tub. You got to make sure that you have that extra space, just in case something doesn't move or you're sitting on something for a while. But that's where we're at now, and that's another reason why we kind of canceled the shows without having the inventory. Our season's getting ready to start, but at the same time, we are definitely trying to take a bigger dive into our social presence. Shows are very important, especially with building a name and, meeting people. We love seeing people and talking snakes and everything, and that's like the one time where we're kind of, I don't want to say getting paid to do it, but we are there, like, at a reptile show, we are there to talk snakes. That is the whole weekend, however many days the show is. That's what our goal is, that, that weekend or that show. So, we obviously encourage people, go to shows, talk to breeders, meet people, network. That's such a big thing that we're learning more and more now. Is networking, meeting. We've met so many great people and so many people that I could call at any time for some advice, or just, a pick-me-up on a day that we're not feeling it or something's going bad. So it's definitely important, but it's also important to make sure that you are also being socially active, not just on the shows. Because a lot of the shows, most people don't travel, so they stay local. It's limiting your ability to reach new people and new potential customers. So, now that's where we're at with the shows being down. We're going to take the approach to try to favor online a little bit more this year, especially with still doing, we've been through the downgrades, like pretty much eliminating a lot of stuff from the collection over the last couple of years, getting our racks, and pretty much the layout of everything that we want to do and the goals that we want to have squared away. And now we're in the rebuild phase. So now we're kind of letting this season start off, see what we get from the season, and starting to expand forward and upgrade where we need to upgrade. Get our rodent building done. That's like my top priority this year, which all the show expenses mainly I cut those out for the rodent part of Morphet Reptiles. I need to get that done, and it's going to save me so much money in the long run when we start producing our own feeders, which is something that we should have did years ago when we realized, hey, we're going to do this as a small business. So that's definitely something else to think about, and if it's in the budget, kind of really work with, talk it over and make sure that the plan is right for you. So, but yeah, that's just a couple little things that I just wanted to touch base on. I know this won't happen to everybody, but hey, it's information, and could help somebody out that might be feeling stuck or dealing with the same issues. So we try to be transparent as possible. We're learning from our mistakes, and getting things that have been better this year is probably in 10 years of breeding and making some really, really cool animals over that 10-year span. This year is definitely probably my most excited season. A lot of cool stuff happening. So, like I said, that was just a couple of the downsides that we've ran into and didn't pay attention to. We're going to do part 2. And yeah, so make sure that you guys keep an eye out for part 2 coming out. And I appreciate you guys stopping in. If you guys ever have any questions or concerns, hit me up in the comments down below. Shoot me a message on Instagram. Always here to help. Thanks for watching.